Chalmun's Cantina in Mos Eisley didn't just capture our imaginations when we first walked through those doors. There's still amazing things to see on every subsequent viewing. This transmission is going to look at Bria and Senni Tonnika. Their story of deception, crime, and survival will unfold through both canon and legend sources. The two sisters are known con artists and small-time criminals who came up during the Imperial era. They worked in tandem, using their charm and similar appearance to run scams across the galaxy. The two even had a quick run-in with another pair of quick-talking smugglers, Han Solo and Lando Calrissian. Details are sparse, but the rumor is that the Tonnikas worked a job with Solo and Calrissian, but the whole thing ended in disaster. The smugglers blamed the sisters for the job falling apart, and the sisters blamed the smugglers, even calling the bungled job the Lando ordeal. Obi-Wan's warning to Luke about never finding a more wretched hive of scum and villainy is exactly why the Tonnikas were there in BBY-0. They were laying low, letting some heat die down. They were present when Obi-Wan Kenobi flashed his lightsaber, an increasingly rare weapon in the decades after the Jedi were branded traitors and all but eliminated from the galaxy. They saw the dangerous Cornelius Evazan and Ponda Baba shut down, Baba leaving an arm behind. Despite the spectacle and the rare weapon, their focus was on Han Solo and his co-pilot Chewbacca, casually hanging out nearby. They were also laying low, but local gangster Jabba the Hutt put a significant price on Solo's head. Not normally bounty hunters, the sisters weren't ones to turn down a good payday, especially when it would give them some personal satisfaction as well. They were trying to plan their move against Solo, Chewbacca obviously a big concern, when they heard the loudmouth smuggler bragging about his custom-modified YT-1300 freighter, the Millennium Falcon, and its specific docking location in Docking Bay 94. The payday was good, but stealing a ship of their own could get them off-world and be something they could really use. The Tonnikas were running from the Imperial occupation that had touched down not long before, for reasons that the Tonnikas would never find out. When they arrive at Docking Bay 94, they find Solo being confronted by Jabba the Hutt himself, along with a handful of hired guns. The sisters weren't dumb. They turned and snuck away, not wanting any part of this particular showdown. Trying to steal the ship with Solo, Chewbacca, and Jabba's gang all present was not gonna happen. They were determined to get off planet by any means necessary, so they started looking for another ship to steal. Their canon story ends here, their fate very open-ended. Given their specific skill set, it's likely that they were able to get off planet to keep conning their way throughout the galaxy. Legends dives deeper on Bria and Senni. It's stated that they aren't just sisters, but identical twins. They aren't actually human, but a humanoid species known as Kiffar. Kiffar come from either Kifu or Kifex. They appear to be human on the outside, but their blood is a more vibrant scarlet, and I could not find any biological reasons as to why that was the one specific detail about the Kiffar. Most Kiffar have facial tattoos, which is a symbol of their clan. Jedi Master Quinlan Vos is also Kiffar. The twins' notoriety in Legends lines up with that of canon, but they're even more bold in their marks. They would con the heads of crime syndicates or even Imperial officials. They even scammed a Grand Moff called Argon, definitely earning the kind of attention that one should be avoiding in this galaxy. Despite not looking entirely similar at Chalmun's, many stories of these two are based around them using their identical appearance to create confusion and trick others. They even had an alias, Brisenni, that they would use when the two of them were pretending to be a single person. A fellow Kiffar called Vol Tuzane became obsessed with tracking down the sisters, originally intending to end their life of crime. Over years of pursuit, he ended up falling in love with one of them, but he could never tell which one it was. There's a further legend that upends the entire launching point for this transmission. The two women we call the Tonnika Sisters at Chalmun's on that fateful day were actually imposters. If you're getting value or entertainment out of any of my transmissions, it would mean a lot if you would join the Remnant and subscribe. The real sisters were not in Mos Eisley at all. This also explains why the two women that we've seen do not look identical. The two women at Chalmun's were actually Shada de Akal and Carly de Ulin, two members of an all-female mercenary group called the Mistryl Shadow Guard. They were undercover in the Cantina on behalf of the Rebel Alliance, trying to smuggle stolen Imperial tech. Obviously, this is a really bad disguise, as the Tonnika were known criminals who had crossed the underworld and the Empire, more than doubling the spies' chances of getting caught. In fact, they are caught, and another Rebel agent has to break them out. It's an even stranger choice when it's made clear that the Rebel Alliance does know about these two sisters. Vorin Naal, a Rebel Alliance historian, writes a full report on the two, and he even admitted information was tough to come by. These weird details are what really defines a legend in the Star Wars galaxy. The real sisters continued to pull jobs and slip capture well into the Age of the New Republic. After the Battle of Endor, they even work once again with Lando Calrissian. It seems that time really does heal all wounds. They never joined the cause or had any political affiliations, but they were okay with helping a cause when they didn't disagree with it, and when it could be mutually beneficial. When filming the Cantina scene in 1976, Christine Hewitt played the taller sister in green, and Angela Staines played the one in blue. They didn't have names at the time and were just called Space Girls as a shorthand on set to get them where they needed to be. It wasn't until a 1980s reference book that named them and called them identical twins. It wasn't until 1995 when the highly regarded Star Wars author Timothy Zahn retroactively explained the identical twin issue in the short story Hammer Tong, The Tale of the Tonnika Sisters from the anthology book Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina. Even more bizarre than retcons filling in their story over decades is the startling lack of merchandise. I'm just going to interrupt for 1 second. Today's video is sponsored by me. Imperial Remnant now has a merch store, and it's not just designed specific to the channel. I'm working with a couple talented artists to bring you unique Star Wars themed designs. Check out the link in the description. Alright, back to the lore. On these two. Action figures and other merchandise have been made for virtually every single side and background character from the original trilogy, but not the Tonnika Sisters. The only reason that I could find online was that Angela Staines had signed the likeness release at the time, but the paperwork was lost. When the movie was a big hit, the merchandise along with it, Lucasfilm approached her once again, but she laughed them off. The story is that she didn't want to give her likeness rights up since she would not be profiting from it. Apparently, she wasn't even promised a complimentary action figure of her own likeness when they would be made. It seems in more recent times, Staines is more agreeable on allowing merchandise to be made because of fan enthusiasm for the characters. Christine Hewitt signed the papers sometime before her passing in 2007. Supposedly, the Tonnika Sisters will be officially released in a Mos Eisley Cantina set by Hasbro. The only thing that I could find at the time of making this video are fan-made bootlegs that fit the style of the original Kenner line, actually pretty convincingly. Check out this transmission next for more tales on side characters from the Star Wars universe.